Hey guys, I'm Sebastian.
And I'm Christine.
You may recognize us from Ninth Island Connection. It's a little show that airs there in Hawaii on K5 and KGMB. Check your local listings. You may also recognize us. I don't have any shame. No shame. No shame. I got no shame. You may also recognize us from the midweek, our brand Ninth Island Connection. We write a weekly article about what's happening here in Vegas. So it's a great little bonus for the show. So if you're looking for that. So here we are. So we are in Vegas, and that's what this video is all about.
Yeah, we wanted to share. We actually moved on Thanksgiving Day to Vegas, back to Vegas. So we've moved here twice, and we want to share our experiences with you guys. We are not moving experts. We want to put that disclaimer out there. But we do have a little bit of experience moving to and from Hawaii.
We've done it twice.
Yeah. Moving is just a challenge in general. It can be stressful, and we're hoping that by putting this video together, it helps answer some questions and helps guide you if you are thinking of making the move from anywhere in Hawaii to the Ninth Island of Las Vegas.
Let's get to it.
Yeah.
Number one, all of your stuff.
Yes.
What are you going to do with it? Yeah. Do you want to keep it or do you want to get rid of it? So we've done it both ways, actually.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing because, you know, if you've had stuff for so many years, you become attached to it. And for us, we had some stuff that we did have to move. We shipped some stuff, our first move to Vegas, artwork that we couldn't part with. All the beautiful, lovely stuff that Sebastian painted.
But we save stuff like our photo albums, pictures, stuff that just we had sentimental attachments to.
And there's just that stuff that you have to take, and there's going to be an expense, and of course you can pack things in suitcases as well, which is what we did the first time. We did sell a lot of our stuff through a moving sale and on Facebook Marketplace, and in the moving buy-sell groups that are on Facebook. That is a kind of a timely process, so you want to plan what's going to go and what you can part with months before you move and what you may need up to that last week. So that takes some planning.
We spent a lot of time outdoors when we lived in Hawaii, a lot of time at the beach and just being outside in general. So for us to get rid of our television and that kind of stuff a couple weeks before we moved wasn't a huge deal for us. So keep that in mind. And another, I guess this would be a pro of selling some of your stuff, is that the cost of furniture, electronics, really everything is so much less expensive here in Vegas. It's probably around half of what you would pay in Hawaii. So we sold all of our stuff for cash, and we just saved that cash. And when we got here to Vegas, we were able to just purchase all our stuff and not go into debt refurnishing our place. So definitely keep that in mind.
And the one nice thing about that was that when we got to Vegas, we were able to go out and shop. It was nice for me. It wasn't so nice for this guy. But we did get to shop and get our furniture and our dishes and everything like that and bedding that we would need. So we weren't without a bed. We weren't without a TV. We had to wait a few weeks for furniture to be delivered for some of the stuff. But you can kind of get settled in faster that way. But it is more of an upfront cost.
Yeah. So then shipping. So this time that we moved here, we did work with a moving company. We got rid of some of our stuff that we just didn't feel had any real sentimental value for us. So we did get rid of some of our stuff. But the major stuff, so like our couches, you don't see, but like our living room furniture, our beds, we did ship along with some of the artwork and smaller stuff.
Yeah. So with the shipping stuff, that was, great in the sense that we got to keep a lot of stuff. We didn't have to make those difficult decisions of what we're going to keep and what we're going to sell. And we didn't have to go furniture shopping when we got here. However, be prepared.
It did take about 6 weeks before we got our stuff.
And that's on the fast end. It can take up to over 8 weeks. When we moved to Hawaii, it took 8 weeks for us to get our stuff. So you have to be prepared for that. If you're going to ship all of your stuff, you won't have it for a while, and you won't have it probably before you move either. So for us on both ends, we were without furniture. Speaking of packing your stuff, we did have boxes out. some moving companies do offer the service to pack your stuff, and that's a nice convenience. They may charge for the packing labor, they may charge for the materials, boxes. We chose to pack ourselves. Every time we've moved, we've always packed our own stuff. One of some packing tips that I have are using, because it can get expensive just to pack your stuff. If you go out and buy boxes, if you go out and buy bubble wrap, all the tape, all that stuff. So one thing you can do to save a little bit with packing, if you decide to pack and move your stuff yourself, is using things like towels, blankets, any soft stuff to wrap your breakable items and pack them that way. So that way it's kind of, you're taking care of your breakables, but you're also using your own linens that you plan to bring with anyway, so it saves space.
Yep.
Otherwise you're getting all that space with all the packing material, which is a mess when you're unpacking. Also, get boxes from local places. Coffee Bean was by us, so thank you Coffee Bean for providing the boxes for our move, but you can get them at your grocery store, Target, Walmart, any of those places. I'm typically calling ahead and letting them know, and they'll save them for you. So that'll save you money. And then there's those awkward items like our artwork that are so difficult to pack and find boxes for. So what we did is we just made boxes. So you can just cut the cardboard and shape it and tape it however you need to. And those are some things that'll help you save money if you decide to pack.
So now, when you're looking at hiring a moving company, one thing that I will tell you is do your research. There are tons of companies out there, older companies, newer companies, local companies, mainline companies. There's so many, and the reviews on all of them, actually everything that I found on all social media, BBB, I checked out LinkedIn. We asked friends, of course, that we knew about moving companies, and it's going to vary. The prices are going to vary, the recommendations are going to vary, the reviews are going to vary, because there's a lot that is really out of the moving company's hands. What I found was that a lot of the negative reviews were about the time that it took to get the stuff, because all they can do is estimate. So like with us, we moved during COVID. So our stuff...
And over holidays.
And over Thanksgiving, right.
Yeah.
We left on Thanksgiving. So our stuff got to LA fairly quickly, inside of a week from being shipped from Hawaii. It was in California even before we left to come to the mainland. So the big delay was because of COVID. There were just delays at the ports of people actually being able to get in to pick the stuff up. So be mindful of that when you're looking at the reviews and it says, oh, they estimated 6 weeks, it took 10 weeks. A lot of that is out of their hands. But be honest and ask them about that. Say, hey, I was reading some of your reviews and I came across this. Would you mind explaining it to me? That was something that I did. I have no problem asking, because we really like the moving company that we met with. And we just had that conversation with them. We trusted them and we went with them.
Yeah, so definitely, like Sebastian said, do your research, compare rates. Most companies are going to require an in-home inspection, and that's kind of can be time consuming on your end, but at the same time, it's going to give you the most accurate estimate. And estimates can be anywhere from like $3,000 to like $10,000. I think they said like maybe almost plan on like $1,000 per room of your house, because you think in your head, oh, I don't have that much stuff, or it's not going to weigh this much, until they get it, and things go by both cubic feet and weight. So you get charged for what you have. So regardless of what you think you have, it is actually ends up being what you have. So again, that goes back to if you want to move your stuff or what you want to move, kind of be picky of it, because it does cost a lot. I think our move ended up being about $5,000, which is about average.
We didn't have a lot of stuff.
Again, it's up to you whether you decide to sell your stuff or ship your stuff. Again, pros and cons to each of that. Once our stuff finally arrived, we were so happy. It felt so good to have our own stuff back, and sleep in our own bed and throw out the air mattress. We were not sad to say goodbye to that thing. No. So again, it's up to you. I think maybe if you're having a difficulty getting rid of some stuff, but maybe get rid of the bigger stuff if possible, that would probably be...
That's going to save you a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because of the weight and the size of like a couch that can be easily replaced on the mainland for half the cost of what it would cost to purchase it new in Hawaii. So keep that in mind.
The other thing that to decide if you're going to ship or sell is a vehicle. When we moved here the first time, we had 2 cars, so we downsized to 1 car and shipped just 1 vehicle here. So when we moved back to Hawaii, we only had 1 car still, and we moved that 1 car back here again. So there's a few different moving companies out there. We've always gone with Pasha. We've had a good experience. They have a come-in discount and a military discount as well. So that was, I think, the
That was
least
easy
expensive.
for us. Super easy.
Yeah, you just plan to be without your car for probably a week to 2 weeks, depending on when you're moving, because it does take about 2 to 3 weeks before it'll arrive in port.
So really, for us, we work from home primarily, so it wasn't a huge deal, and we lived in town. So it wasn't a huge deal for us to be without a car for, I think, 7 days or so while we were still in Hawaii.
Like a week and a half. Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad at all. But the good thing was that because we were able to get it on that boat and it left, when we flew into California, we picked up our car the very next day. We flew in, spent the night in a hotel, got our car the next day, and drove to Vegas. So that's another thing. If you're looking at shipping, ship it if you can. And everybody's family size and situation is different. But if you ship it direct from Hawaii to Los Angeles or anywhere on the West Coast, it's going to be...
Or San Diego.
It's going to be probably half as much if you're having it shipped to Vegas. So be mindful of that. We saved about $800 by picking it up in Long Beach and just driving 4.5 hours into Vegas. So keep that in mind.
Yeah. And again, with the vehicle company, do your research, compare rates, call them and speak to them directly about their time frame. It does change, but you really want to make sure that you're planning your flight. If you're flying into California like we did, that you're planning it, that your vehicle will be available.
Yep.
And the ports are closed on the weekends, so be mindful of that, because they'll only store your vehicle for so long before they start charging you, which I believe is $75 a day. Our first move here, we didn't realize you couldn't pick up on the weekends, and we had to pay for the weekend.
Yep.
So that's also something to kind of be planning around.
Yep. So we shipped it this time to where we picked it up on Friday morning.
Yeah.
We flew in on a Thursday, picked it up on Friday morning. So so that was pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, so, and one of the things about that was nice that we liked about shipping our vehicle to California was it was like a little bonus vacation both times for us before we got into Vegas. So our first time we shipped it into Long Beach, LA area, and spent a few days in Long Beach, which was really cool. Got to explore and enjoy that. Of course, that was pre-COVID and a lot more things were open and available. This past time,
everything was closed.
Yeah,
so we did a quick, flew into San Diego, got to the hotel around 10, ordered a pizza, went to sleep, got up the next morning, had breakfast, got the car, and came into Vegas because everything was closed.
Yeah, we had actually planned on, we were hoping to spend the long weekend there and enjoy San Diego. However, COVID, so that kind of, but that's something to keep in mind as more things open up in the near future. Hopefully you can plan a little mini vacation in between your moves from Hawaii to Vegas. And also, you know, in addition to that mini trip that you could incorporate into your move, the drive from California to Las Vegas is actually pretty cool. It's kind of a little road trip in itself. There are different stops along the way. You can do Route 66. We did our first drive here, our second drive here. We were like, let's just get there.
Yep.
But there's different stops. The Lotto store in Primm, the Seven Magic Mountains just on the outskirts of Las Vegas. Just like really cool things to see. So the drive itself is kind of a little bonus.
Yeah, so, and if you're driving during the summer, so I'd say June through, or probably late May through September, it's going to be hot. While you're driving, it's going to be hot. So make sure before, and it's going to be much hotter as you get closer to Vegas than when you're in California, because you're by the ocean, and Long Beach tends to be a little bit cooler. So if you get there in June, do not let that temperature fool you. It's going to be really, really hot as you get closer to Vegas. So you want to make sure you have plenty of water in your car. That'll definitely help.
Yes.
There's a lot of resources before you move out here. There's the Las Vegas Hawaiian Civic Club that could help put you in touch.
There's also a great Facebook group, Ninth Island Connections, similar to the name of our show, but it's the number 9.
Ninth Island Connections. Yep, and you'll see that there. So there are resources. You will find your people. Just be patient. There's not going to be longs. No more longs.
There's CVS, but some of them have a little pocket of a section that we like to jokingly call the Hawaii section, because it'll have
it's very limited.
Spam rice and maybe some wasabi peas. So no locals. So stock up on your locals.
Yes, stock up on your locals before you move here. Do that. Like I have 2 pair in the closet, brand new, that I brought just because we weren't sure when we were going to get back to Hawaii because of the travel quarantine and all of the stuff that's happening. So
yeah. Also, if you're looking for a home, there are so many realtors that have Hawaii connections. We have a friend, Randy Hatata of Expand Realty.
There's his information right there.
And he's great. He has been relocating hundreds of families from the different islands in Hawaii to the 9th Island. He's actually from Hilo himself, so he's made that journey as well. So he's a great resource if you're looking for a home. If you're looking for rentals,
I would reach out to Randy also for rentals. He's been in real estate in Vegas for over 20 years. So if he can't help you, he can definitely give you some solid recommendations.
Yeah, so he helped us kind of guide us in a good area, because we weren't really familiar with the Henderson side because we had lived in Summerlin previously. And we wanted a different experience, which is why we chose the Henderson side.
Yep.
So he kind of guided us to an area, because if you just look for apartments, it's
overwhelming.
It is I think even just to find our apartments, both apartments that we lived in Summerlin and Henderson, we had a list that started at in the 60s that we had to narrow down to the 20s and then kind of get a top 10. Because
of course you're going to start with budget. Now, because that's because you're in the middle of the desert. There's housing everywhere. Because there's so much land, right? Where Hawaii, you're a series of islands, there's only so much space that you can build on, so your options are going to be limited. Here, it's not. And you start with your budget, you're going to be overwhelmed with the number of places that will be within your budget.
And I wouldn't even say your budget. I would say your budget for Las Vegas, because if we set our budget what we could afford for rent, we would have a
4-bedroom house.
We would have an amazing house to live in.
We would be in a 4-bedroom, 3-bath house with a detached 2-car garage and ground swimming pool.
But you can.
But it's just 2 of us.
Yeah,
so we don't
you
need
can find a
stuff.
2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment anywhere from $1,100 on up. It just kind of depends where and what they're having. It also, their rates fluctuate based on availability. So if there's a lot of apartments that are available, you're going to be able to have your pick of where you want to live. We kind of ran into a situation this time where there weren't a ton of apartments where we wanted to live available.
And that's because of COVID, where that same story is true across the entire country. People are just kind of staying put, where most years people tend to move during the summer, especially when you have children, so that they could be settled in before the kids go to a new school. All of that, none of that happened really this year. People just kind of stayed put where they were. So the housing market for us, our experience when we were looking in the fall of 2020, was a little bit tighter than when we lived here previously.
Yeah, so, but we still were able to find a place that had a great move-in special. We actually got a free month of rent. And a reduced security deposit. So that is one nice thing about renting in Vegas, is the security deposits are fairly low. They're not the first month rent that we were used to in Hawaii.
Right. It's really just based on your credit. They just look at your credit, and that's what they base your security deposit on.
Yeah. But there are fees, there's processing fees and administrative fees. So you want to be mindful of looking into that for wherever you're planning on renting from. And be sure, because they're going to charge you to apply, so you don't want to apply to like 5 different places
Right.
and then decide, because then you're out that money.
Yep.
So keeping that in mind.
One of the things that we found is when we had questions about a particular property before putting in an application, they were pretty responsive over the phone. You could just give them a call and just tell them your situation, what you're looking for.
It's usually I think most apartments require a 60-day notice to vacate. So they kind of have their inventory 60 days out.
Yep.
So that's something to keep in mind. Like when we first moved here, we thought could secure a place several months before even moving here, just so that we'd have it. And they were like, no, we don't know what we'll have at that point. But that's something to consider when you're moving here.
Everything that you want will be in the community that you decide to live in. So I wouldn't be too worried about how far is the grocery store, or how far is Trader Joe's, are there gas stations, are there restaurants, is there a Marshall's, TJ Maxx? All of that stuff is everywhere around town.
And one nice thing with the apartments, most of them have on their websites what's in the area.
Yep.
Or of course you can Google map it to kind of see what is in that area. A lot of them will have like what schools are in that area. So that kind of information is provided by most of the apartment complexes, which is wonderful.
Yep. So that's it. That's a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's a lot of information, but you know what? Moving from Hawaii to the mainland is a huge move. Yes. It's a big move, not just because of the space, because you're moving everything. Your entire way of life, your day-to-day is going to change.
Yeah.
So there is a lot to consider. And if you watch any of our videos, you'll see that we respond to every comment. We answer questions. Feel free to reach out to us. Please like the video if you found this useful. Subscribe to our channel so that you can see what else is happening here in Vegas. If you have any questions, which I'm sure you will, there's so much to consider, just ask in the comments, or you can message us on any of our social media, through Facebook, through Instagram, through our website, nightfamilyconnection.com. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to us. We'll be happy to help as much as we can.
Definitely. Anything that we can do to help make your move easier, we definitely are there for you. Thank you.